Welcome into the Analyst in the Armchair, an NFL podcast where one host is obsessed with stats and spreadsheets, and the other just really loves yelling at the TV on game day and has plenty of opinions. Together, Michelle and Nycole dive into player news, weekly matchups, and all the storylines you'll be talking about with your friends. Whether you're a hardcore or casual football fan, they've got something for you.
Hey, welcome into the Analyst and the Armchair. I'm Michelle Majuk. I'm the Analyst. This is Nycole Bernstein. She is the Armchair. You know, we have some decent news coming out about the NFL. I mean, not all of it's good news, but stuff is coming out that we have to dig into.
Listen, news is news.
Rashee Rice cannot stay out of the news, unfortunately. Aaron Rodgers can also not stay out of the news, unfortunately. So we'll get to all that. But we had the schedule release last week. That was exciting.
Yes.
A lot of good holiday games.
Mm-hmm.
But the opener, let's talk about real quick. I don't love it. So with the NFL opener, always the Super Bowl winning team plays in that first game. Cool. But then they're having them face the Patriots week one.
It's honestly like as bleh as the Super Bowl was.
Yeah. It's what did you get out of that Super Bowl game where you're like, we need this rematch right away?
It feels a little silly,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe they're like, let's get it out of the way.
I think it could have been a way better game later on where it's like, okay, let's see what the Seahawks are without Clint Kubiak and the changes they made and the pieces they lost. Let's see where Drake May is in his third year. And like, I would have liked it later to be like a real revenge game for the Patriots. It's like, okay, week one.
Yeah, it feels kind of silly. But honestly, like what game is good week one?
I guess the Rams and 49ers are going to play in Australia week one. So those teams were out of the question. But I don't know. I think they could have picked a better one, but that's fine. That's our opener. Thanksgiving night, we get Chiefs at the Bills. That's going to be great.
Totally.
And also the Thanksgiving Day games are good. The Bears against the Lions and Eagles against the Cowboys. Love it. Then on Christmas Eve, get your Texans against the Eagles.
Yeah.
That'll be a fun game. 3 great Christmas games. Packers, Bears, Bills versus the Broncos, and Rams versus the Seahawks. And then on New Year's Eve, we get the Ravens against the Bengals in week 17. They did a good job with all the big holiday games.
Yes, they did a really good job. Those are all going to be fun games, and it won't be like, I have to sit around and talk to my cousin because
You're like,
I'm just kidding. I like my cousin, but
I love how you just keep saying cousin because that's how small your family is. Most people have cousins.
Rather small. Yes.
Yeah. You're like my one cousin.
The one cousin that comes to our shindigs.
You're like, I see my sister and brothers enough. I don't need to talk to them.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Their children, however.
Their children are your favorite.
Yes.
And that is fair. No, I'm excited for all these games. And then big game tonight, right after we record, your Spurs playing in game 2 against the Thunder.
Western Conference Finals, baby.
Woo, after a really impressive first game.
Yes, I think my blood pressure has come back down to earth since then, and then we'll just skyrocket it back tonight.
Yeah,
so,
it was a stressful game one.
Well, I don't think I sat after once the fourth quarter started. It was standing for the entire fourth quarter.
That's why they won,
and both overtimes in my living room.
Mm-hmm. Your living room.
But yeah, I mean, so many times I looked at Michelle and I was like, I need to throw something, but I have nothing to throw. And so she bought me a hacky sack. Mm-hmm. So I have like a non-violent thing to throw at the ground if I need to.
Yeah,
that makes me sound way crazier than I am, maybe. Or it just solidifies. I don't know. But very excited for game 2. I knew they would take game 1. I just, in my gut, I just knew it. I'm excited. I've seen he's back. Going to be back tonight. Okay. I'm so excited. I don't want to say anything. I'm very excited about this game.
What's nice about this game is if they do end up losing, at least they took game 1 and then they get to go back home.
That's exactly right. So, but I think we're going to come out just as good, if not better. And I'm stoked for it.
They're ready. I mean, they have the team to beat the Thunder. So we're both very excited about that game tonight. By the time you're listening to this, you'll know if they won or lost. You'll know if Nycole is sad or happy.
And by the time we don't do all that, it's probably at game 3, close to. So
yeah, maybe. All right, we'll get back to NFL talk. Some news to get to. Like I said, Rashee Rice, just stop doing what you're doing.
The opening drive.
So, I feel like a couple weeks ago, we come on here and we're like, the NFL is not going to suspend Rashee Rice for any further for anything else off the field that's happened right now. And then he goes and gets tested positive for weed while he's on probation. So they sentenced him to 30 days in jail. We'll see if he actually serves it. I don't know I don't know all the details at this moment, if he's actually in jail right now. But he also recently just had knee surgery. Mm-hmm. So that means he has to also rehab in jail his knee. That doesn't sound good whatsoever. Like, these professional athletes, they have their regimented schedule of rehab, and they have all of the whole training staff and the whole training equipment and everything. So that's scary in its own. But now, like, he goes to jail for 30 days. Is the NFL really just going to like let him play week 1? Like, he's going to get out of jail in July or whenever it is and be like, hey, I'm back.
It's such a weird situation. Mm-hmm. And I think with a league this big, like, you're obviously going to have things like this that happen.
It's not illegal anymore for NFL rules. Like, you don't get suspended for testing.
Right. So to me, it's the violation of your probation that's the issue, mm-hmm. not the cause in which you did that.
Yeah, we're not like, oh my God, weed's so bad. But like, come on, dude, you're on probation. Do you want to play in the NFL or not? Do you want to keep your job or not?
Yeah, it'll be interesting because I think any other league would have to do something. But I feel like the NFL is the one that's kind of like a little behind the times, if you will, of like, hey, this guy doesn't act right in society, but then we glorify him in our entertainment culture. So I don't know what the NFL will do. But if I was a fan of his and or the Chiefs, I would not be happy.
Josh Gordon right now, this is a guy that's supposed to be, he was so good for like a year and a half with the Browns, but he wouldn't stop smoking weed, and he played high too. Like, he had a lot of issues, but he got suspended over and over and over again for smoking weed. If Rashee Rice goes to jail for breaking his probation and smoking weed and he doesn't get suspended again, like, and the guys that ended up getting suspended back in the day for it, you'd be like, what? You would think he'd be suspended again. I don't know, but this is a disaster for the Chiefs because without Rashee Rice, they have old man Travis Kelce, Xavier Worthy, Tyquan Thornton. Like, they didn't add anyone this year.
Yeah, it's not good.
I don't.
Well, and, you know, with or without Mahomes coming back, it
does seem like Mahomes will probably be back week 1, but yeah.
Right. So it's like you're already starting off with, like, I was going to say a leg up, but it's like a foot down.
Yeah. And without having like Rashee Rice is a short target guy where you can hit him quickly. He gets open very fast, and it takes less pressure off of Mahomes if you don't have that all of a sudden coming off the ACL tear. He's just a disaster. And luckily they haven't paid him yet. And they said they're nowhere close to feeling comfortable paying him. And that just makes it worse.
Yeah.
There's just certain guys that they just won't stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense. But moving on, another annoying guy, Aaron Rodgers.
Biggest Steelers fan in the room, everybody.
I am a Steelers fan, but he finally signs with the Steelers. Fine, right? They had no quarterback. We knew this was going to happen. 1-year deal worth up to $25 million. It's not outrageous, so okay, it works out fine. And the best part is he says he's going to retire for sure after the season. I can breathe. I have one more miserable year to watch.
I wouldn't breathe just yet.
No, he said he's going to retire after 2026.
Okay. Well, you're still in the same spot you are today. So
yeah, well, we can figure out the quarterback situation next year. I'm just happy there's only one more year of this Aaron Rodgers drama.
Yeah. I mean, you're just kicking the can, but yes, agreed.
Mm-hmm. So they have him for this year.
17 more games.
Let them go to the wild card round and get their butts kicked. And then let's hope they can find their true future quarterback.
If they make it in this.
Yeah, fair enough. And then lastly here for news, Cam Scadaboo will be ready to play in week 1 per him. So, a lot of players say they're better than they are, but he says he'll be ready by week 1. However, Malik Neighbors of the Giants had to undergo a cleanup for his knee just a few weeks ago. So that's not great, and it might delay his start to the season. He might start on the PUP list. Like, it's great to get Cam Scadaboo back for your backfield, but Malik Neighbors, for this Giants offense to really take off, they needed that true great wide receiver 1 out there. Yes. I like what they've done this offseason, bringing in Calvin Austin, bringing in Darnell Mooney, adding Malachi Fields in the 3rd round, but none of them are wide receiver 1s or close to it, really.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that it doesn't take that long and, they're just being like overly cautious. Mm-hmm. But man, yikes for the start of a season. And like,
and best case scenario though is like he comes back right before the season, so that means you miss all the training camp. And Jackson Dart and him don't have that connection. Dart didn't get to play with the starters last offseason,
right?
And then by the time he started the game, it was like 8 snaps, and Neighbors was out.
Yeah. So it's unfortunate for the Giants and Giants fans. I mean, you've got a good thing going there for a while, but it's a bummer start to the season.
It really is. And I've been on this Giants train saying they're going to do so good this year, but I'm like, Neighbors, I need you to be out there, and I need it not to be like a hobbled season from you.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the thick of it here. We are going to discuss wide receivers that are going to get better, worse, or the same compared to last year. And we did this with quarterbacks last episode, so if you missed that, go listen to it. And this week, we'll dig into all the wide receivers.
Can't wait.
Let's do it.
Between the 20s.
All right, let's start with wide receivers we think that will improve. We'll give 2 each and then get into the guys that will get worse and stay the same. But who's your top wide receiver that's going to improve from last year? And I love this pick. I think it's a pretty obvious one, but it's needed to be talked about.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously I picked Justin Jefferson, right? From the Vikings, which if you don't know that, you probably are very new.
You're probably not watching us.
But I mean, I think for him, I think last year, this guy is hungry. He's such a great producer. He didn't have a lot to go off, and he was still great last year. But he wasn't elite because he had no one passing him the ball that was good. So I think this is really good for Justin Jefferson this year. He was in the top still 15 last year of receptions. I think he blows that out of the water this year. I mean, I think if they can get him the ball, he's easily in the top 8. So almost half double good he was, double good as he was last year. So I think this was a really easy pick, going into this next year.
Yeah, I mean, it's year after year after year, he was doing so. I mean, he was breaking records and breaking records and breaking records, and it didn't matter the quarterback. Like, he did have Kirk Cousins most of the time, but he still was getting it done with Nick Mullins and Joshua Dobbs. And even last year when Carson Wentz came in, it was still better. It's just like, for whatever reason, J.J. McCarthy was that bad that he was like the only quarterback that couldn't play in the Kevin O'Connell system, like whatsoever, and couldn't get the ball to Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
So Kyler Murray, if he wins, and the only way he wouldn't win the starting job is if all of a sudden J.J. McCarthy was having this amazing connection with Jefferson.
I don't see a world in which Kyler Murray is not starting for the Vikings week 1.
Yeah. No, me neither.
So,
and I also don't see a world in which Justin Jefferson doesn't want Kyler Murray to be the starter. And I think they're going to go with whoever Justin Jefferson wants to be the starter.
Yeah.
Because honestly, for how elite he is, he was pretty chill last year.
Yes.
For having such bad quarterback play. He was not a diva. He was not drama. So, yeah, let him decide what he wants to be throwing him the ball.
Agreed.
Yeah. I think he gets right back to his 1,400 plus yards. We'll see about the touchdowns. Kyler Murray's never been a big passing touchdown guy, but the ones that he does throw, they're probably going to go to Jefferson. My guy's going to be Emeka Egbuka, which, okay, I get it. A lot of guys get better from the rookie season, so maybe this is cheating, but I think he's going to get so much better. Like, I think he's going to truly break out as one of the top 10 wide receivers in the league, if not better.
Whoa.
Like, I think he's going to be an elite wide receiver one. So last year as a rookie, he led the team in receptions, receiving yards with 938, receiving touchdowns with 6. He averaged 14.9 yards per reception. That's very good. Only 5 rookies have had at least 125 targets and average over 14 yards per reception over the last decade. Those other guys, first name's not going to be great. It's Brian Thomas Jr. And he fell off in second year. Then it's Puka Nacua, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. Okay. I loved Emeka Egbuka coming out of school at Ohio State. He has everything you need in a wide receiver to be a top guy in the league. And he showed it immediately. The issue was he hurt his hamstring in week 6. Right. And everyone, or not everyone, but the reports were that he's going to miss some times with this hamstring injury. Like, it's pretty severe. And then he doesn't miss any time. He probably should have just missed time.
Yeah.
But he played through the injury and everything fell apart for him. So weeks 1 through 5, before the injury, he was averaging 89 receiving yards per game. He had 5 touchdowns already on the season, and he caught 66% of his targets. After that, the rest of the season, weeks 6 through 18, only 41 receiving yards per game, only 1 touchdown the rest of the time, and he only caught 43% of his targets.
Wow.
So clearly the hamstring was like, timing is so important in the NFL. And so much of like the quarterback having like a good foundation with a wide receiver is understanding that player's timing. And that's why, all the stuff in the offseason is so important for them to practice that. And a hamstring injury can mess up that timing. Like if you can't get there as quick, like if he's not in the spot you're thinking he's going to be in or whatever, like I think that's what messed it up. And that's also when Baker Mayfield's numbers dropped too.
Yes.
So they coincide with that.
I think that's the point that I would have made. Like Baker just wasn't as accurate and things towards, middle end of the season. And then this year you don't have Emeka Egbuka competing with Mike Evans for those targets.
Yeah. And he already had 65 more targets than any other wide receiver on the team last year.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about Mike Evans coming back. And Chris Godwin, he's just getting older and more inefficient. But you mentioned Baker getting worse. Like, I do think it coincided with the Emeka Egbuka injury. The first 6 weeks of the season last year, Baker had 12 passing touchdowns, 1 interception, averaging nearly 8 passing yards per attempt, 250 passing yards per game. The rest of the year, right when Emeka gets hurt, he has 10 interceptions to the 1, only 14 passing touchdowns the rest of the year. When he had 12 in the first 6 games, his yards per attempt went down to 6.2 yards per attempt.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that's...
It might be coincidental, but I'm just saying, I don't think they're mutually exclusive is what I'm saying.
Okay. Now, I think Emeka Egbuka is going to easily lead this team in targets. I also like Jalen McMillan. He'll have his role. Chris Godwin will have his role. Otten will have his role. But I think Emeka Egbuka can fully break out and be a beast this year.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like the pick. I do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I like your next pick too.
Thank you.
Yeah. And now this is someone that we thought was going to break out a long time ago. And to be fair, he has had a couple good seasons, but
yeah.
Tell me about
him. Tell me who it is.
Tell him his name first.
I went with the Lions, Jameson Williams. I think he finally, at the end of last year, started to put it together a really good campaign for himself, if you will. I think defenses focus so much on Amon-Ra St. Brown, as they should. It creates a lot of favorable matchups for Williams. And I think in that system, they have such good offense all around. I think there's no reason, especially with defenses focusing on St. Brown, that Williams won't have an even better year this year. And his speed. I think they've increased his targets enough that it could really produce for him this year. So I went with him. I was kind of thinking about Amon-Ra, and I thought, man, I think he's going to be just as, he's great, but I think he's going to be just as consistent. But I think that opens up things for Williams in a really nice way.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because they changed their OC. They went and got the OC that got fired from the Cardinals. Mm-hmm. And the Cardinals offense was so focused on Trey McBride, right?
Yes.
But was that because they did have wide receivers in Marvin Harrison Jr. and Michael Wilson, but the whole offense was around Trey McBride.
Yes.
Do they do that to Sam Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown? Jameson Williams gets a little bit worse, but I was shocked to see, like, when has he had 1,000 yards each of the last 2 seasons? Jameson Williams has. I'm like, when does that happen?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's very confusing because it's like, when you have that many good guys, it's like, how are they all doing that well?
Yeah.
Like, are they really? That's how you know that offense is just clicking all the time, because it's like on any other team in any other system that does not happen.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's misleading sometimes about teams and stats and the numbers and stuff, because like you play a team like the Bengals or the Lions, the Eagles, right? And you're like, they have so many good guys. Mm-hmm. How do they have this many good guys? And then you see another team that has one guy and you're like, well, they're terrible, and it's because these other teams like the Lions, just have so many good guys.
Yeah, like the defenses have to worry about Jahmyr Gibbs as well, not only as a runner, but also as a receiver.
Yes.
So it does help Jameson Williams with his skill set get open deep and have those big plays. And it is an easier schedule this year, too, for the Lions than last year. So just in general, it could be a better year for him. So I like that. And I have a guy like him later that I said is going to be the same. I probably could have put him in worse, but we'll discuss that later.
Ooh.
Now, I'm going with a Packer that's going to get better. Look at me.
Look at you being nice to the Packers, kind of.
Yeah. And I've never liked this guy.
I saw the name and I was like, whoa.
Coming out of college, I thought it was a stupid pick to take Christian Watson so early in the draft. I thought he just had an incredibly easy path in college, didn't have to face anybody. And you know what? He has not lived up to the hype whatsoever. So I'll say I'm kind of right there. But also a lot of that has to do with injuries that he keeps suffering. But last year, I was more impressed with him than usual. He did have a career high in receiving yards per game at 61 receiving yards per game. He was always in the 40s. Prior to that, he was starting to catch the ball more consistently to start his career. I swear to God, he just rubbed butter all over his hands or some oil before the game. No matter what, he could not catch it. And then towards the before he got injured last year, he was really starting to click because the team needed him. He had 80 plus receiving yards in 3 of his last 5 games played. But that's always the issue, right? It's like he only played 10 games last year.
Mm-hmm.
He has a very hard time staying on the field.
Yeah.
I'm going to just make a little prediction here saying he's going to stay healthy. This is going to be the year he stays healthy.
Okay.
And already last year, playing only 10 games, he already had the second most targets on the team. He missed 7 games and still had the second most targets on the Packers. Mm-hmm. And Romeo Doubs had the most. Doubs is now with the Patriots. Right? Matthew Golden, we'll see what he can become. But nice trash. That's normally my thing. Garbage. Yeah. We didn't like him coming out of school. And he did
trash, but that's just me.
He did nothing in year 1. Maybe he takes the biggest leap ever in year 2, but probably not. Dontavian Wicks, the 4th most targeted guy by Love last year, he's gone. They trade him to the Eagles. Jaden Reed is still there. That's great, but he's struggled to do anything or stay healthy. Mm-hmm. And then Tucker Kraft coming off a torn ACL. Christian Watson, they need him. The Packers need him to be that guy. To be that true wide receiver 1. He has a chance this year. He showed last year when he was healthy that he could produce in a higher volume way and not just be a deep threat. I think Christian Watson can have it's easy to say career year. He's never had more than 620 receiving yards. But I think this could be like 1,000 receiving yard season for him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, if he doesn't, I don't know who will in that organization.
Yeah, if he doesn't, then they're really hurting.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But those are the guys we think are going to get better. But now we have to move to the guys that are going to get worse.
Our favorite section.
It really is. Why am I such a hater?
Because it's more fun to hate on people.
It really is.
It is.
People you don't know, right? Like that aren't going to hear it. If they heard it, I'd be sad.
Well,
I don't want them to hear it.
But like, it's not a personal attack. It's just
unless I'm talking about Sam Darnold, it's not a personal attack.
I'm never attacking people personally.
I'm just kidding.
I'm sure
Sam
Darnold
seems like the nicest guy ever.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have said unless we're talking about Aaron Rodgers.
Or these people that can't stay out of jail.
Yeah,
you know?
Rashi Rice, yeah.
Like, we like the good Samaritan.
Actually, your first one.
Well.
Go ahead. Talk about it. Who's one wide receiver that's going to get worse this year?
Okay, and this is a bold take. I have to say, I will admit, it might be a little more wishful thinking than anything, but I went with Puka Nacua, and this might be more wishful thinking than anything, but the guy plays physical. So people who play more physical are more prone to injury risk, right? Defenses know what he is and what he's capable of. Therefore, their schemes are going to be against him. I think we've had so many switches and changes in, all of the head coaching. I think defensive play callers are going to be like, we got to get this guy. I got to make a name for myself and shut this guy down. So I think kind of all of those things are possible, not to mention touchdown numbers. They just regress naturally. Mm-hmm. So I think for the Rams, I mean, you've got Matthew Stafford, who possibly, he got a little more injured last year. He's getting older, right? You have all these factors that are not going in the way for the Rams. And I mean, I think it's hard. It's really hard to maintain an elite status as a wide receiver in the NFL. I think it would not be crazy if Puka Nacua comes out and is quote unquote worse this year.
So are you avoiding him at his cost in fantasy? Because he's like a top 5 pick.
I probably would stay away from him.
Do you think it's more because he's a head case that can get in the way?
For me, and I know the way I look at players and things, I would rather have the consistent guy than the really great guy who at any given moment could freak out and blow up.
I mean, he does seem like he's on a path of like destruction. He hasn't done like anything too bad. That's the issue. Like, it's not like anything crazy, but it's like, ooh, dude, like relax.
Well, and he got hurt a couple times last year. I mean, not major things. Yeah. But he was off the field.
He definitely is physical.
A bit. Yeah. And so to me, that's another thing. Like, how long can you sustain that? You know, you only get older, right?
Yeah. I think Puka will be fine. I do. So I'm not agreeing with you here.
I'm not saying he's even going to go from like, what is he? Probably number 1 or 2. And I'm not even saying he'll drop out of the top 10.
Well, yeah.
But he's going to be worse. He's not going to be the number 1 wide receiver in 2026.
Okay.
I don't even think he'll be top 3.
Okay. All right. I'm going to also go with a guy who won Offensive Player of the Year this year. So these are top. I mean, these are bold takes here, but I'm going with Jaxon Smith-Njigba of the Seahawks. Monster year for him in his 3rd season. And I really like it. I do. But 163 targets, 119 receptions, 1,793 receiving yards, and 10 touchdowns. He was everything to that team. Now, I'm not going to act like they added a bunch of these receivers that are going to take targets away. He's still going to be the main target guy by far. But the system will be changing. Like, losing Clint Kubiak is massive in my opinion, because I think Clint Kubiak is one of the next brainiac, smart play callers that, I mean, maybe JSN is the best wide receiver of all time, but watching him, he was so open all the time, and defenses knew just to focus in on him. But still, he was always open. Now, you have to be talented to do that. I'm not taking that away from JSN. But when guys change out of systems, you see a downfall a lot of times. Also, when guys have such a monster season, you see a downfall a lot of times. So Jaxon Smith-Njigba last year had the 8th most receiving yards in a season in NFL history. The other 7 guys ahead of him all dropped by at least 400 receiving yards the very next season.
That's a lot.
With most of them falling by 600 yards. So we saw Calvin Johnson drop by 500 when he had 1,900 yards to 1,400 the next year. Cooper Kupp just in 2021. Now that came down to injuries, but still, injuries are a part of it when you touch the ball so much and you get hit so much, right? He dropped by 1,100 yards from one season to next. Julio Jones, 500-yard drop. Jerry Rice, 600-yard drop. Antonio Brown, 600-yard drop. Justin Jefferson, 800-yard drop. Tyreek Hill, basically an 800-yard drop as well.
Wow.
Those were all the top 7 guys in receiving yards in a season.
Yeah.
And now JSN. To repeat a 7, but I'm not even saying he's just going to drop by a little bit. Like, I think it'll be under 1,400 yards. That's a big drop. I think it's a big deal. Like, it's hard to repeat those massive seasons. And he, going into fantasy here, like, I'm not touching him as a top 3 wide receiver in fantasy this year.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, and again, to really bring this point home, we're not saying these people are just going to be fall off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
But to play at that level in this league 2 years in a row would be really, really difficult. And we just don't think they can do it.
Yeah. So who's your next one that you think will fall off? Of course, Nycole. You just have to hurt my heart.
And I know you want this guy to have a bounce back year, quote unquote. Okay.
I thought he was fine last year.
That's the problem. He was fine. And he was the only offense for your quarterback to throw it to. And that's DK Metcalf. Now, I think we started to see it last year. We started to see the drop off of who he was in Seattle versus his first year or two in his first year in Pittsburgh. He and Aaron Rodgers clearly are the best of fits. I mean,
I think they were great together. And he only got stronger as the year went on. You're crazy.
What season were you watching? I think DK Metcalf and Travis Kelce should be fighting right now over an endorsement from Butterfinger. Like literally, Metcalf dropped the ball like every game. I think you're forgetting because
I just want to like cross it out.
There were so many times just boop, and then he punches the fan, and I'm like, who is this guy?
Well, yeah, the punch of the fan was real.
You know. So I just think, and I know they got Michael Pittman Jr. Great. I think you would think that would make him better because then he should be more open, right? But what I think is it's going to expose him. And I think that's the problem with Metcalf this year is I think you were like, oh man, he's the only one to throw it to. Of course he's going to drop it sometimes, right? But now you're going to see him across the field from Michael Pittman Jr. and you're going to be like, oh, he's just getting old and can't catch the ball.
Well, he has had drop issues in his career. I'm okay with that as long as he also makes the insane catches because he also can do that too, right? Like catches he shouldn't be making down the field and contested plays he makes. I
think it's going to drop off and some people are going to be like, what is this?
His target should definitely drop off a little bit because you're right. He was like the only option for Aaron Rodgers last year. There's a reason they traded for Michael Pittman. And I like their third round pick they took as well in Jeremy Bernard. So I agree. Like Metcalf should have fewer targets, won't be like be as big of a focus on the offense. I think that's good for the offense, but DK Metcalf's numbers could go down, but maybe he could be more efficient as well. You're just a little hater.
Nope.
My other one is going to be Chris Olave. And a big part of this, of saying he's going to get worse, there is a fantasy focus here. He's still going as a wide receiver 13 in fantasy drafts, like for predicted fantasy drafts. Don't take Chris Olave, please, at that early. Last year, it was a career year for him. He had 100 receptions, 1,163 receiving yards, 9 receiving touchdowns. Fantastic year. Really good year. But with those amount of targets and receptions, 156 targets, you would expect a bigger year than that too. Like this feels like his ceiling. They needed him. He was the only wide receiver there. Rashid Shaheed had the second most targets on the team among wide receivers, and he was traded after week 9. So he had 66. So that means Olave had 120 more targets than any other wide receiver on that team last year.
Wow.
Outside of Shaheed. So they brought in Jordan Tyson, right? 8th overall pick. Mm-hmm. Jordan Tyson's a very, very, very good prospect. That's why he went 8th overall, even though he has an injury history concern.
Right.
So despite all the concerns with the injury history, he still went 8th overall. He is an exceptional talent. He has the skill set, the athleticism, the build to be a true wide receiver 1 in the league. And everything with Chris Olave last year came down to how many targets he got. He was one of 5 wide receivers with at least 150 targets last year. Still, he only had 1,163 yards. Those other 4 wide receivers all had at least 1,400 yards.
Wow.
So 300 yards fewer than all of the rest of them. He had 9 games with at least 10 targets last year. That was tied for 3rd most in the league. Only Puka and Jamar Chase had more with 10. He was tied with JSN and Amon-Ra St. Brown for the same amount of games. But the issue is in those games, he only averaged 80 receiving yards per game. Those other guys all averaged over 100 receiving yards per game in those games. So even when he was seeing insane volume, he still wasn't an elite guy. Mm-hmm. I think Chris Olave is a really solid wide receiver 2.
Yeah.
And with now additional competition for targets with Jordan Tyson there, he's going to come back down. And it doesn't even have to be that by that much. Like he is what he is. Like he could have been maybe in like the same thing category, but 900 to 1,000 yards. Like, I think that's what you're getting at here. I think the touchdowns come down. He had by far the most of his career at 9 last year. He only had 1, 5, and 4 the other years. And I'm just not in on Chris Olave at all this year.
Well, I think what you said is true. Like he's going to have more competition this year. You would think that Tyler Shough will be better, more accurate, these types of things. He's going to find his targets and guys. And to your point, I mean, that was probably a breakout / peak year.
Yeah.
For
and
Chris
Shough
Olave.
right now is talking up Jordan Tyson like crazy. He's like the best separator I've ever seen. And so they're building that connection. They're both young guys. And I'm just not impressed with what Chris Olave did in his breakout year.
Yeah.
And Olave was a highly talented prospect coming out of school too, first round pick. Like I get all that. But even with all the targets he did last year, he still showed he couldn't be elite.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think he gets a little bit worse and definitely not worthy of a top pick in fantasy.
Yeah, it's kind of like a big like caution sign.
Yeah.
Of like, don't be fooled by last year's numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. One wide receiver that will stay the same. Can't believe you're going to do this to your boy.
I don't think it's a negative thing.
I think he could be better.
Okay. Well, I hope he's better. I would love for Nico Collins to be better than last year, but I think he's such a solid fit for Houston. I think he's kind of a security blanket, if you will, for CJ Stroud. He's obviously like our top outside target, right? The thing that I love so much about Nico Collins and why I think he will either stay the same and or get better is he's so efficient without needing a lot of targets. Like I'll be watching the game and I'll be like, where is Nico? And then I see the stats after the game and I'm like, how did he get 110 yards or whatever it is? I don't know when he's doing it, but he's so efficient.
Is it concerning to you that there are so many games where Nico, where are you? Like, why does he disappear? Like, I would rather him be more consistent than be like, oh, you showed up for a couple plays. Like your wide receiver one needs to be more consistent than that. But is that on Stroud or is it on Nico?
I think it's on a few things. I think and I think we've done a little bit of this offseason, but we have to give CJ more targets. Tank Dell is still a big question mark. I don't know what his situation is. You saw at the end of last year, Christian Kirk really became kind of a piece in the offense to open things up. I think that's the biggest thing for the Texans offensively when passing the ball. It's like, we have to get the ball to Nico more often. How do we do that? We create openings for him. So that's using Dalton Schultz in the middle of the field. That's doing things and schemes to get him open. So I think I'm very excited for Nico Collins this year. And I think he knows the role he has to play with the Texans this year.
Yeah. I hope he doesn't stay the same as last year. Like I want it to be like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he was dealing with injuries 2 years ago, but you know what I mean? Where the efficiency, like the huge games, being targeted more often.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think we know what Nico Collins is at this point. Now, mine is going to be, it's probably going to ruffle some people's feathers. Is that the saying? I don't know.
Yeah.
Alec Pierce. And I'm sorry, Colts fans. I know y'all just paid him a lot of money. 4 years, $114 million contract. They gave him $28.5 million per year.
Yeah.
To a guy who just barely hit over 1,000 receiving yards for the first time in his career last year at 1,003 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns, 47 receptions. That's all I got. 84 targets, 47 receptions. They go, we're going to trade away Michael Pittman, which like I don't even like the point of that. It's like, okay, if you don't want to pay him all that money and you can get value for him, fine. But then pay Alec Pierce all the money you did. He averaged 3.1 receptions per game last year.
Right.
These are some guys who average more yards per reception. His teammate, Josh Downs. Do you know who Josh Downs is?
I do, only because I had him in fantasy, like my first year in fantasy football. But
probably not for long because he's never done anything.
Right.
Trey Tucker, Rashid Shaheed, Juwan Jennings, Parker Washington. These are all guys who average more receptions per game last year. And that's great. He's a great deep threat. I was
like, but what about yards? Because that matters.
Oh, no, amazing. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but he is what he is. He's a deep threat.
Yes.
He's not a wide receiver one. Like all these guys can have specialties. And if they would have paid Alec Pierce this amount of money to be your deep threat, I am fine with that. But you can't get rid of your wide receiver one and not have another outcome.
Yeah.
Like you can't be like, well, we paid Alec Pierce to be our wide receiver one. No, you didn't. You paid him to make those huge splash plays for you. Mm-hmm. And now all of a sudden you may have taken that away because now defenses are like, okay, so all we have to worry about is Alec Pierce now going deep. We're just going to cover that. We don't have to worry about a true wide receiver one anywhere else or anyone else to be this huge volume guy. So I think if anything, he got hurt. If anything, like that's why, like at the best, he stays the same.
Yeah.
Unless they completely change his role, which maybe he can go into. But also to point out, like, I've been talking about, I think Daniel Jones gets worse this year, right? But even if he stays the same, Alec Pierce, 4 of his 6 receiving touchdowns last year came without Daniel Jones. It was after Daniel Jones got hurt. 3 of 5 games without Daniel Jones last year, Alec Pierce had 80 or more receiving yards. He only had 3 games with 80 or more receiving yards with Daniel Jones in the 10 games he played with him.
Wow.
So he was way better without Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
So Daniel Jones is coming back now. Like, I just think Tyler Warren's going to be the top guy in this team. I think overall this offense is going to be down. And Alec Pierce was never meant to be a wide receiver 1. He was meant to be what he's supposed to be, and he can get paid for that. But then you just kind of ruined him without adding anyone else.
I love that we both answered the same question in the opposite way.
Yeah.
You're like, this is a guy that will stay the same, but be worse. And I was like, this is a guy that will stay the same, but hopefully be better.
Well, I'm saying, like, I think the best case scenario is he stays the same.
Yes.
And they get to keep using him in that role.
Yes.
That's what he should be used as.
Yeah.
He's really good in that role.
Yeah, but the problem is they don't have the wide receiver 1.
They're stupid. All right. We are done with the main wide receiver segment here, talking about guys that are going to get better, worse, or the same from last year. But we still have our 2-minute warning where we're going to predict the best rookie wide receiver for 2026.
2-minute warning.
All right, Nycole, let's finish up our wide receiver discussion. Who do you have as the top rookie wide receiver for 2026, which means they'll be in consideration for Offensive Rookie of the Year?
Yes. How exciting for them.
Yeah.
I went with Carnell Tate from the Titans, who the Titans took 4th overall. I think the Titans organization is such a question mark to me right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to be better.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you laughing?
No, I'm totally agreeing with you because this is my exact thought process with the Titans too. It's like, it's so hard because just like they should be so much better, but they're also the Titans.
Right. And that's where I fall into a trap as a fan armchair of like, well, look at those guys out there. They should be good, you know, and then you do something like say the Raiders are going to win a division. And then after a year, you're like, that was dumb. But no, I think the Titans, you know, you've got big play upside with him, right? Strong body control. He's already got the physical traits of a wide receiver 1, which only does well for Cam Ward. You've got new coaching, right? Robert Saleh is there now. Maybe Ridley falls off this year. What is he doing? I don't know. You know, so then you've got Carnell Tate and probably Wan'Dale Robinson as your 1-2, some combination of them. And so I think there's nothing but upside here, depending on how all of these pieces fit together.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, they do really well and they're cohesive and all those things. But I think him coming in with all of the abilities he already has, like he's already ready to go. I don't think there's a lot of like drop off of like, we have to like train him up or these kinds of things. So that's who I went with for my wide receiver rookie.
Yeah. If we're going to be right about the Titans getting better, Carnell Tate's a huge part of that.
Yes.
And he needs to step up. So, and definitely be their top guy there. Now I'm going to go with Jordan Tyson, the second wide receiver taken in the draft. We already talked about him when we talked about Chris Olave, but 8th overall pick. And I already mentioned, like, he has everything you need in a guy, the size, athleticism, skill set to be a really great wide receiver in the NFL immediately. The only issue was the injury history. But I will say, like, okay, yeah, having an ACL tear and a bad knee injury is scary. But after that, we've already got to see him have a huge season in college. So he tore his ACL in 2022, late 2022. He missed all of the 2023 season, basically. But then a huge year in 2024, his best year in college with over 1,100 yards. He had 10 touchdowns in just 12 games. Like, he already showed us he's back from the knee injury.
Yeah.
And then, in 2025, he was putting up big numbers again. Unfortunately, dealt with a hamstring injury. Hamstring injuries happen. Like, I don't think it's fair to just say he's injury prone because he tore his ACL, the hamstring. Like, yeah, it's definitely concerning, but there's been plenty of guys, Ricky Pearsall, who stayed completely healthy throughout college, never missed a game, and can't stay healthy in the NFL, right? So I don't think that from what happened in college, we should say that's going to happen here. And I've already, like, there is a clear path for targets. Rashid Shaheed's gone, who was only there for half a season, had 66 targets there. Brandon Cooks, 25 targets. He's gone. But like, he has to fight with Devon Bailey for targets for the second, like there's not much competition there. Last year, Juwan Johnson had 102 targets for this team, the second most, because he was the necessity.
Yes.
That team did not want to give Juwan Johnson 102 targets. No, they just had no one else. Now they do instantly. I think Tyson runs into 100 targets easy.
Mm-hmm.
I think that can go up to 130, 140, like right off the bat.
Yeah.
We both expect Tyler Shough to be better in the next year. We're excited about him and the Saints offense. So I think Jordan Tyson, just stay healthy and he can be a monster.
Yeah.
Rookie of the year.
Well, we'll see.
Okay. Well, whatever. That's it for today's episode. Next week, we'll get into the running backs. We'll do the same little fun thing. We already did quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs that will get better, worse, or the same from last year. We're going to go watch this Spurs game. Hopefully beat the Thunder. Let's go. Talk to you next week. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to The Analyst in the Armchair. Don't forget to subscribe, follow us on socials, leave us a review, and comment to let us know what you'd like to hear next time.